Dishonest engineer. A short story. Engineer Dan was a skilled building engineer. He had a grown-up nephew named James who was rich and lived overseas. It was very early in the morning and the weather was cold. The cold weather was as a result of the fact that it had rained heavily the previous night. Engineer Dan's phone rang and he sluggishly reached for it and stared. It was a foreign number and was from James's nephew. He was excited to hear from James again, for it had been over 2 months since the last time they spoke. James exchanged pleasantries with his uncle. He then explained the main reason why he had called. "I will return soon," he revealed to Engineer Dan, "and I want to give you a contract to build a wonderful house over there for me." He said he wanted the house ready before his return. He sent the building plan and Engineer Dan gave the estimated bill. He sent twice the amount in the bill and urged him to use the best quality materials and fittings for the building. Engineer Dan was dishonest. He resolved to make a fortune out of the contract by using cheap materials. The building project began immediately and they worked steadily to ensure the building was ready as soon as possible. Most of the laborers at the building site complained to Engineer Dan about the poor quality of the building materials he had provided for them. He countered the laborers each time and insisted that they manage the materials like that. He told them that the owner of the project knew nothing about building and would therefore not find out the quality of materials used for the construction. 6 months later, the building was completed. Engineer Dan excitedly messaged James, his nephew, to inform him. James was excited to receive the good news. James requested to see pictures of his newly completed house. They were sent and he was grateful to Engineer Dan. He called Engineer Dan a few weeks later to inquire about how much it would cost to furnish the house. Engineer Dan gave him the bill and he sent a little above the full amount, asking him to use the best quality furniture. Engineer Dan went for furniture of low quality, installed them and informed James when everything was ready. James thanked him for being so kind. He booked a flight and returned from overseas 3 months later. He visited Engineer Dan and handed him the gift he got for him. A few moments later, Engineer Dan excused himself. He made it to his room and returned almost immediately with a bunch of keys. Those were the keys to the new house which he had built for James. He handed the keys to James. James smiled calmly and returned the keys to him. "That house belongs to you," said James. "I intended building it for you, but I didn't want to inform you until today." Engineer Dan was confused. He was feeling hot and cold at the same time, and he sweated all over his head. His eyes were red and wet, and he bowed his head in regret. Everyone smiled excitedly, thinking Engineer Dan shed tears of joy. But he was actually weeping, for he knew the evil he had indirectly done to himself due to the poor quality of the house he had built. Explained that he had always wanted to build a house for his uncle. He said he did not want to give someone else the contract since his uncle was an engineer himself. James spent some time and later returned to the country where he lived. Engineer Dan moved into the new house with his family and they lived uncomfortably. Over the years, different faults developed at one part of the building or the other, and they spent a lot of money fixing them. A couple of years later, after a windy rainfall one afternoon, the building collapsed while they were inside. No life was lost, but each person sustained a serious injury, and the government seized the property afterwards. Moral lesson: Engineer Dan dubiously used fake and cheap materials for building his nephew James' house because he felt James was not there and may not find out. The house was later gifted to him and he faced the consequences. What goes around comes around. Always try to do the right thing at all times, even when no one is watching. If you put good into the world, good comes back to you. And if you put bad into the world, also expect bad to come back to you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe.